Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from AlexMercedCoder.dev, and in this video what I want to do is just kind of go over, just show an example of styling an application with um, when you're using like Express and EJS and things like that. So we're going to do that. So basically, this is a Express EJS app that we built in a previous video. Again, all of the stuff is inside the repository that is linked in the video description. All this code will be in the folder called Express EJS. And let's do this. So let me just kind of recap the application. So again, most of our code is going to be here in server.js where I can write routes. Okay, so we'll do some examples there. And well, that's pretty much it. So again, we create the Express object, we generate some routes and routers. Again, we are serving the public folder as a static folder. So all that's set and good. So we're going to set that up actually. So let's do that first. So let me start the server. So new terminal, nodamon server.js. Okay, and it says I am listening on port undefined. That's not good. So let's take a look. Okay, it's because it's going to be using the port from the environmental variables, and I don't have any environmental variables set. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to update this and just say, okay, const port equals process.env.port, or if that's not defined, then let's just use 3000. Okay, and then we will use port here and here. Okay, there we go. Now we are listening on port 3000. Wonderful. Cool. So first thing I want to do is we're going to make a route that's going to be what we're going to be working with today. So let's head over to server.js, and I am going to create app.get, and we'll just call this /styling, because basically the purpose of this video is to kind of show you like some approaches to styling with EJS. Okay, rec res in the context of ExpressJS. Okay, and then we're gonna res.render styling.ejs, which that should be a string. So let me add the quotation marks. Okay, and then we'll pass an empty object. We'll deal with that more later on. Okay, so now let me make the view, new file, styling.ejs. Cool. So that route now exists. So now basically if I go to localhost 3000 /styling, it should pretty much take me to an empty page. Okay, because again, that is a blank page right now. Okay, now typically what I like to do is I like to take advantage of a EJS feature called partials. Okay, and basically what I'll do is I'll make a folder called partials, and this just allows me, instead of having to like write certain chunks of code over and over again, I can have them in their own files. So for example, I may want to like attach things like a JavaScript file or a CSS file, and usually you would do that in the head tag. But I don't want to have to write the head tag for each EJS page. It's just a lot of writing. So what I can do is I can create like a head.ejs and just define my head tag in here. Okay, so there's my head tag. Okay, and we'll say title, and we'll use EJS to define the title. So we'll say title equals title. Okay, and then I am going to I'm going to create in my public folder, I'm going to create a styles.css and a app.js. Okay, and in here, to attach those in my head, I would just create a script tag for the JavaScript file. Now again, to link to that, it's going to be just be /app.js. Why? Because if we take a look at my server.js, when I did the express.static middleware, I didn't pass a prefix. Okay, so there's no prefix. It's not saying like, hey, I have to start with any particular prefix. So that means it's just going to start off from the slash. Okay. So that's all well and good. So styling us back to head.ejs. Okay, so and then again, I want to make sure I add the defer keyword for any DOM stuff I'm going to do. And then we want to have a link tag for the CSS. Link CSS. And then again, that'll be /styles.css. Okay. And then in my styling.ejs, so for this page, what I can do is I can then include that by just doing this. Percentage, and then you put a dash, has to be a dash, and then use this include function. And then there's an include function. What you can do is you pass in the path to the file you want to include, which is going to be /partials/head.ejs. Okay, then I'm going to close that off. And now if I refresh the page, I still don't see anything because we haven't put anything in the page. Title is not defined. Forgot to define title. Okay, you can't, it'll throw an error if you have if you refer to a variable that doesn't exist. But in this include function, there is a second argument that allows you to pass an object. So I can be like title styling page. There we go. Okay, so let's try that again. There we go. And see, there's the title. Okay. Then what I can do is I want to double check my sources, make sure that, see, look, there it is. The styles.css, app.js, they are connected. So this is all working well. So even though literally, essentially what's happening is that the text from that file is being injected right here. So now for any further pages, I don't have to write that again. Now what if I have like a navigation bar and I want to keep the navigation bar like, you know, uniform? Okay, what I can do is I can create like a header.ejs. And this can be my navigation bar. So I'll just say like, use a header tag and, create like a navigation bar. So actually we'll just even, yeah, it's fine. Nav. Okay, and then this will just, we'll have an H1 right here that just basically says title of website. And then here, what we can do is we can just say we have several links. So we're going to say a href equals slash. Okay, that's going to be a div, and it's going to say home. And I can add further links if I want. Okay. Maybe we can say like, apparently there's like a bread page that we made from a previous video, so we'll put /bread, and then we'll put slash. We're just creating a styling page, so /styling, and there's our navigation bar. Okay, so there's my navigation bar, and what I can do is that I can now add that over here, /include /partials/header.ejs, and then close that off. Okay, and now if I go over here and I refresh the page, see, there's the navigation. I mean, right now it doesn't look great. Okay, but again, now I can add that to like every page. So that way every page has this navigation. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this head tag with what we got from the partial, and then put this partial here inside the body. Okay. And then I'm going to copy that, and we're going to do that one more time with this bread page. There we go. So now I should be able to go to like the home page and see the navigation still there. Go click on the bread page. That's still there, styling. And I see I can navigate between all the pages. And then if I make a change to that header.ejs, it's just going to make that change to all the pages. But I want to style that header to make it look, right. So let's do that. So again, I know it's a header tag that I used in there. So the header tag is fine as it is. What I may want to do is for the header tag is at least like text align center, the center of the H1. But then we have the nav bar inside of there. So I want to adjust that, make that a flex box, so that way everything displays horizontally instead of stacked on top of each other. So flex. So now if I do that, see we got that centered, and we see that all these are all now horizontally laid out. But I want those to be centered, so we'll say, but I want them to be kind of spaced evenly, so I'll say like justify content, space around. Okay, and if I do that, see like how everything becomes like sort of like evenly spaced. Okay, and see, so that's starting to look more like a navigation bar. Okay, and say I go to each page, and we're good to go. Okay, and maybe I want to put some padding in there. Padding, we'll put like 8 pixels. We'll put a background color. Let's say burly wood with a margin of 5 pixels, so there's some space around. Let's see how that's looking. Okay, so you see so that it's starting to look like a navigation bar. So the point is you can kind of like build that out. Okay. So then all I have to do is focus on is like what the main content of the page is. Okay, so I can be like, okay, back to down here. So basically, I would put whatever content I'm going to put here, H1, yada, yada, yada. Let's say, UL, with a bunch of LIs in it. 1, 2, 3, 4. See, and there's that content. And then I can style that content, because that CSS file is going to be available across all the things. Now, of course, maybe I want to make sure that there's certain styles that only apply to this page. So what I can do is I could wrap this div, this whole page in a div, and then give this div an ID of like styling. So that way I know that I can always use that as like my relative anchor when I'm creating my CSS styles. So if I want to style the H1 on this page particularly, but not style the H1 on other pages, I can go back to my CSS and instead target the ID of styling and then any H1 that's a child of that. Because I know that div with the ID of styling is only on that page, so I know everything is sort of a child of that, and I can target it that way. And I know it's only going to target that page. So then I can be like text align center, color purple. Okay. And then now if I refresh, see now that's the color purple, but see no other H1s are affected because it's based on that ID. So basically what you can do is you can use IDs to help identify like particular pages by using that sort of parent element as the anchor. Okay, so that's a thing you can do there. And then again, if you plan to have a footer to your page, you can kind of do the same thing that we did with header, but with footer. So I would just hit here and do paste, rename. This will be like footer.ejs, except instead of a header tag, we'll use a footer tag. Although I generally want the styling to be kind of exactly the same for my purposes. So in that case, I could just say, hey, whatever you did the header, do this to do the footer as well. Okay, and then that should kind of keep everything the same. And then I just go back and I can go add to each of my pages, go to the bottom, and include that. Include dot slash partials slash footer.ejs. Okay. And then again, I can add that to each page. And again, these includes just make it easier where I don't have to be writing as much code. Because I only have to write the footer once, I only have to write the header once, I only have to write the head tag once. Okay, although I should probably change the titles on these other pages. So again, which page is this? This is the bread page. And then on the index page, we can say it's the main page. So that way each one has, even though they're all sharing the head tag, they all have a unique title. Okay, and then now when I refresh, back to the browser, and see there you see the footer. Although I still have the title of the website, so I might want to go change that in the footer. I don't need the title again. So I'll take out the title. And then you kind of have a situation like that. Again, not the prettiest thing in the world. The point here is not to show you like, it's not a design. It's just to show you like the technicals of like how to write your styling. Then you can use your creativity and knowledge of design to then apply the styling to get the look that you want. Cool. Okay, so and again, you don't have to do everything in the CSS file. You can write styling right in. You could do it anywhere by just doing a style tag, and you can then write CSS right there. So I could be like over here, nav color green. But keep in mind, even though I'm writing it in this, I'm writing it right here inside of this partial, it should become global in the sense that this will apply to the nav, not just in the footer, but the nav and the head because they're both on the same page. And that CSS, basically writing anything in the style tag applies as if it were your CSS style sheet. Okay, so if I refresh this, well, because they're links, so let me try a different, let's do background color. Not background color, let's say border. Let's make this a border. Border 3 pixels solid green. So now see now there's a border, and there's a border on both navs because I just styled the nav tag. Even though again, it doesn't matter where I write the styling is going to be global. So you got to really think about your selectors and what you're selecting with your CSS. But hopefully this gives some clarity on like approaching styling with when you're writing your EJS using an Express application. But otherwise, have a great day and enjoy.